everyone present over here. On behalf of II Ahmedabad chapter, I, Architect Aishwarya Bhanushali Patel, extend a warm welcome to our esteemed guests, speakers, term partners, students and all attendees who have taken out time and been a part of Ahmedabad Collective. Ahmedabad, a city of contrast and conversation, a city that reminds us that architecture is not merely about structure, but a living dialogue between people and place. Ahmedabad Collective stands as a tribute to it, to collaboration over competition, to shared spirit of design, and to timeless bond between the community to discuss learnings from the past and design the future in a cohesive way. Welcome once again to the Ahmedabad Collective 4.0 2025, an initiative by Indian Institute of Architects. I request everyone to please rise for the national anthem. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. To give a brief introduction to what Ahmedabad Collective 4.0 to 2025 stands for, its vision, its purpose, let's welcome Architect Chintan, Chairperson-elect and current Treasurer at IIE Ahmedabad chapter on stage, please.
Thank you, Aishwarya. It is an honor to stand before this dynamic community, a collective of visionaries, innovators, and creators who are constantly shaping the built environment of our city and beyond. Good evening, Ahmedabad. It is pride that we welcome you to the fourth edition of Ahmedabad Collective, celebration of architecture, design, and dialogue. Ahmedabad is not just a city, it is a living museum of architecture. From the intricate wooden carving of a historic poles and the fusion architecture of Sultanate period to the iconic modernist masterpiece envisioned by our titans like Le Corbusier, Louis Kahn, and our own Vivid Oshisher. This city is a truly of Makkah of architecture. This remarkable legacy is both our inheritance and responsibility to uphold, evolve, and advance. The Ahmedabad Collective was founded with this purpose, to celebrate our architecture strength and ensure that the torch of the design excellence continue to shine for generations. This event is dedicated to being a vital showcase and launchpad for architecture work. While we honor the masters, our focus is sharply tuned to the young architects and emerging practices of Ahmedabad. You, the next generation, bring fresh perspective, innovative technologies, and renewed understanding of sustainability and context. The collective is your space to present your radical ideas, your sustainable solution, and your vision for the future. Here, your work is not just displayed, it is engaged with critique and celebrated. For the next 2 days, this festival will be a truly melting pot, a space for the designer fraternity to come together and exchange ideas, from thought-provoking exhibition and engaging masterclasses to lively panel discussion. We create an environment where mentorship thrives, collaborations are sparked, and the future of design is collectively envisioned. This time the theme on houses. As we celebrate our fourth edition, we turn our gaze to the subject that is fundamental to human experience yet endlessly complex. A house is the first piece of architecture we ever truly known. It is not just a collection of walls, a roof, and a floor. It is the foundation of life. It is where our family grows, where our memories are forged, and where we truly feel safe. It is a microclimate in a macro city, a personal sanctuary that responds to our needs, our culture, and our environment. In Ahmedabad, the idea of a house invokes the rich history of pole houses. With their intricate social fabric and climate-responsive design, as much as it does the cutting-edge contemporary dwelling of today. કહેવાય છે ને પોળમાં સંસ્કાર અને ઇમારતોમાં વિકાસ. This year, through your work and our discussion, we will explore critical questions. How does the design of a house influence the well-being of its inhabitants? How can we design a home that are truly sustainable, not just in a material, but in energy, water, and waste management? In an age of constant change, how do we design houses that are flexible, adapting to the evolving needs of a family over decades? What does the future of Ahmedabad house looks like? A home that is locally rooted yet globally relevant. Over the next 2 days, I encourage every one of you to exchange ideas passionately, visit every showcase, and engage with everyone. Challenge your own perspective. This festival belongs to you. Let us make this fourth edition the most insightful one yet. Let us not just admire the architecture, but understand the thinking behind every dwelling, every detail, and every design choice presented here. અમદાવાદ, જ્યાં દરેક ખૂણો એક વાર્તા કહે છે. થેન્ક યુ.
Thank you, Chintan Bhai, for setting the context so beautifully. Every collective thrives on support and shared vision. To acknowledge our generous term partners, I now invite Vimarsh Pandya for the introduction of our term partners.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Good evening and very warm welcome to everyone for our signature event, which is called Ahmedabad Collective, and which is, organized by Indian Institute of Architects, Ahmedabad Center. This event is one of the signature event which we every year we collectively organize, and this event we would say that it won't be possible without the collective efforts of all the architects and the volunteers, the students, and as well as our term partners. So with this, as a part of our term partner who are constantly supported us, and to start with the Surfaces Plus, Kohler, GM, Stonic, the Brick Stores, 11 Engineers, Simpolo, Fujitec, and of course the venue partner, Credai Guyhead, and the lighting, which is illuminated by Interior. Thank you so much. With this, we extend our gratitude towards your support, constant support since last couple of years, and we also would like to extend our gratitude that our collective efforts continues throughout the coming years as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vimar sir. We truly appreciate our term partners for their continued encouragement. Up next, we have our first term partner presentation by Fujitech, a brand synonymous with innovation. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. This is Devad from the Fujitech Express. So, as you all know, you are the big gentlemen, architects, you know very well what is the elevator. So, I don't want to brief about the elevator, how elevator works, but just I'm simply saying how Japanese companies works. So, here I am going to present about the Fujitech Express. Uh, the Fujitech Express is a Japan-based company. It's established in 1948. So here there are the stepwise growth, how we have done, how we have started penetrating globally. Totally, we have eight manufacturing factory globally. Two is in Japan, two is in US, one is in UK, two is in China, and two is in India. So that more brief we will be going to see. So here, just I am briefing you this about this Fujitech Express. As we have heard about this Otis and Schindler, Kone, there are so many MNC works in India and specific in Asia Pacific country. As we heard about that, there are the MNCs, big MNCs. But at the urbanization started after 2000, so the big MNCs who works in a specific high-speed market, high-end market, like Fujitech, Mitsubishi, Toshiba, and Hitachi. There are four Japanese company comes in the specific Indian market. So this is the Ahmedabad factory that we can see over here. And this is our Japan plant. It is the tallest R&D plant in Japan, which we have made it over before 2000. So here we can see our all eight facilities, manufacturing facilities over here. This two, as I have already explained, that is in all globally. It is Japan and China and USA, UK, everywhere it is there. Here we can see the Fujitech India, Chennai factory, and Ahmedabad factory. So about the elevator, we have all type of product range vertically. We are into the elevator, we are into the escalator, travelator, moving walker. Elevator, we start from 3 passenger to 26 passenger and 10 ton. So we have a goods elevator, we have a passenger, capsule, everything solution we have with Fujitech Express. Technology-wise, we are into the high segment market. Up to 10 MPS, we have installed the elevator with a new technology like nighttime checkout. We are only company that the preventive maintenance reports we are submitting to client after service providing. So this technology, that remote monitoring system is there, nighttime checkout is there. So everything we are providing safe elevator, that all the function is written over here. We have a product range, this Areto effects that we are working for this 5 to 15. And here we can see this will be going to launch in the next month. It's Areto Lite and Areto Deluxe, which will be for the more than 15 passenger elevator. So here we can say that we have done lots of projects over here after this took over express elevator in 2022. So here we can see that the Altura and this Manor Ananda, Swarnim, our two that we can say, then Venetia, Golden Plaza. So almost we are having a good market penetration after 2022, middle range, even higher range. Galai Ke Bana is there for the higher range, Manorananda is for the higher range, our two is for the higher range. That all the projects that are into the Fujitec market. So here we can see the our big clients, corporate clients, which we can say that already we have installed in the 3-year span with all the clients, right? So thank you for giving us time. Thank you.
Thank you. I now request Architect Kush along with Architect Harsh to give a brief regarding memberships at IIA.
Thank you, Aishwarya. A very good evening to all of you. I am Architect Kush Trivedi, and sharing the dais with me is Architect Harsh Bharat, a man who works quietly yet tirelessly behind the scenes to make things happen at IIA. We are here not just for a campaign, but for a cause, to make the IIA Ahmedabad Center bigger, stronger, and more connected. Ahmedabad is the land of architectural creativity, home to masters, mentors, and dreamers who shaped the city's identity. But how many of us are truly directly connected with these creators? How easily can we reach out, learn, or share ideas with them? This is where IIA Ahmedabad becomes the bridge, connecting generations of architects, uniting experience with enthusiasm, and heritage with innovation. And our journey doesn't end just with architecture. We celebrate culture too. We at IIA Ahmedabad have witnessed some heartwarming and intriguing discussions in the form of Doshi We Know, Architecture in the Genes, and among them is one of my favorites, which we call Open Minds, where you are guided through the most interesting projects by the architects of Ahmedabad. The people whose works you admire would take you on a tour to show their projects. Where else can you find such a level of peer learning? From organizing Garba nights to participating in national events of sports, literature, and design, IIA stands for a complete creative community. So together, let's make this bridge stronger than ever. So I would urge all the architects to become a member of this wonderful family. And do reach out to us if you need any assistance. Thank you.
Next, we have our term partner, Brick Store, showcasing their vast portfolio of products. I request the representative to come on stage.
Very good evening to all the distinguished guests and members of the Indian Institute of Architects, distinguished architects from around India. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. I'm very sure bricks don't need introduction. If A stands for architecture, B stands for bricks. We are the material which has stood by architecture since the whole idea of architecture came into place. So I'm very honored to present our perspective, our understanding of brick as a material, and how we can add value to all the architectural needs. You know, we are now living in very evolving times where green architecture, sustainability, and energy management and all these aspects are really picking up traction. Brick is probably one of the oldest building materials around, but it is still very relevant in all the modern requirements of architects, be it facades, be it climate adaptability, be it sustainability, be it long-lasting. You name it, we have it. So very pleased and honored to show you a little bit of our insight into what we are, what we do, and how we do it. So please enjoy the film, and after that, if somebody has questions, I'll be very pleased to take them.
But there is so much more to discover. Immerse yourself in the experience. Discover the depth, diversity, and unparalleled quality firsthand. Feel it, touch it, let it come alive in your senses. Our experts are here to guide you and choose the perfect brick. More than just bricks, it's an experience. When you think of bricks, it's
I hope you enjoyed the video. There are a couple of things I would like to add. I think it is not really discussed these days about how materials in facades and how building materials react with environment. If you see the levels of pollution, the levels of acidic materials in the ambient air these days, whatever facade materials you see today, they all react with those materials, with air, with acid rain, with rainwater or whatever. I think except brick and glass, there is no other material on the planet at the moment in the building which is basically chemically neutral. All other materials like stone, granite, marble, they all react with atmospheric air, carbon dioxide, and they are not chemically neutral. They are still chemically active as we use them.
CCC is an architecture and design practice whose groundwork is informed by theory and guided by an inductive process of making. The practice seeks to produce architecture that is direct and reduced to its essence, shaped through a framework of geometric order that acts as a container for life's inherent complexity to unfold. The firm's work have received recognition both nationally and internationally as winners and finalists at the World Architecture Festival, the Monsoon Architecture Festival, and various IIA, IIID, and national level awards. Let's put our hands together to welcome Architect Madhusita CA as he shares his insight.
Good evening. Thank you, IIA Ahmedabad and the Ahmedabad Collective for inviting our small practice to your good forum. And so we are Cochin Creative Collective, and we a land that contains. Examining the cross-section of our practice, we realized that in the last 9 years, we have drawn about 60 houses, some built and some unbuilt. Communicate the dialogue between the old on one end and the new on the other end, and negotiate differences. The new materials, steel, random rubble, white painted brick, paired with the old clay roof tiles, timber, and lime plastered walls. Adopted from the conclusions of the typological exercise, this begins to create contrasts and juxtapositions. But although received with great passion, the idea never took form. And after a painstaking year of drawings and conservation work on site, Kapi Madam was demolished to be replaced by another concrete structure. We withdrew from the project in the only form of protest entitled to us. We were so naive. The project and the old structure are now lost, yet its loss was trying to materialize through other means. The absence of Kapi Madam slowly insinuated the melancholy of its lost architecture, both the old and the new, in various forms of drawings that we did, artworks, graphical renderings. By drawing an analogy to Aldo Rossi's 1967 engraving, Now This Is Lost, also known for its melancholic stance towards architecture, Kapi Madam now moved to its afterlife and began to inform our thinking and drawing in our practice. Its next apparition was in the form of an artwork created in the stark, mute, melancholic, metaphysical painting style of Italian artist Giorgio di Chirico, whose work also was an influence for Aldo Rossi. Later, we adopted this style and method for various other projects and their artistic renderings. We also developed a typological method of studying and drawing a set of spatial guidelines and principles of order that manifest in our projects as logical conclusions and continue to inform our design process. Perhaps stemming from our own naive and amateur understanding of the underpinnings of traditional houses like Kapi Madam, we started studying some of the generic qualities that the house itself presented. Seemingly non-denominational rooms of equal sizes arranged around courtyards or verandas, which were interchangeably used by the members of the family in different ways during the daytime and nighttime. We extended the study to several traditional type forms of houses, the Ekashalas, the Dushalas, the Trishalas, the Chadurshalas. Architecture, when unburdened from its past, history, and socio-cultural connotations, begins to exhibit some of the more universal spatial qualities of spatial order in its morphology. Most of these houses also followed certain strict principles of climatic response and material tectonics, which were necessary parameters to build in the landscape of Kerala. However, a deeper understanding of these houses, set in its historical and socio-ecological context, reveals meaning that is far from universal. They are formed and governed by domestic spaces and systems separated on the basis of gender, caste, and economic privilege. The red marked border, for example, here is where the female of the house should always exist. So, three attempts that we start in our practice. We started questioning if an intimate knowledge of this power system prevalent in the traditional house forms could help us in the search for the truly generic house, one that is more equitable and universal. Our attempt began with the sensibility of building with the presence of the old. How can time and memory become generators of design? Aldo Rossi, in his book, A Scientific Autobiography, quotes, "The question of the fragment in architecture is very important, since it may be that only ruins express a fact completely. Photographs of cities during the war, sections of apartments, broken toys, this ability to use pieces of mechanisms whose overall sense is partly lost has always interested me," Rossi says. Even in formal terms, I'm thinking of a unity or a system made solely of reassembled fragments, says Rossi. The notion of the fragment in Rossi's words speak of the emotional essence of the home when read in parallel with the Australian poet Rainer Maria's description of intimacy. In the 1990 house, originally built as a working class residence in the rural outskirts of Tiruvalla amidst sugarcane farms, fragments of memory served as the symbolic core. Like the traditional house typology, the 1990 house also seemed to exhibit certain recurring themes and logic of spatial order. A typical structure, the style of which is found in Kerala even today. The house is a single-story concrete slab house which is a 9-grid in plan where private rooms are arranged around a central hall. This house is my partner's own house. The significance of the story of the existent house was important, and its memory formed an integral part of the new narrative as we considered our responsibility for what we choose to leave out. We withheld the urge to romanticize the image of the past and rather chose to use its remain as a stimulus to present a new aesthetic interest and a modern philosophical interpretation. The process adopts the accidents, collisions, juxtapositions, and other existing architectural relationships that were inherent to the building before our encounter with it. On a building that already had many layers from the past, adding a new imaginative layer results in a modern solution rather than a mere restoration. The new layer is visible and seamlessly intertwined with the past. The act of pairing new material against the existing canvas resonated in several of our other projects. We attempted this in the Mundakayam house too, where the design process differentiated the built form as per their period of construction and thereby into separate functions. The new architectural expression simplifies the whole into regular forms and strongly distinguishes the old and new as separate layers materials. Concrete cement blocks, steel and glass used for the new construction now sit in absolute contrast with the stone walls of the old construction. The dialogue between old and new realized here is a conscious effort to create a unity made out of fragment. Similar ethos prevailed while adding a new modern private bedroom block for the next generation inheritors of an ancestral home in Chalakudi. the new block's total dimensions was directly governed by the geometrical relationship with the old house. In our subsequent studies from Kappimadam, we developed a method of abstracting ideas and types which began to make their presence felt in different other projects as constants but manifesting in varied ways. We developed a kit of parts which started to emerge every now and then in our projects each time, giving rise to a new meaning and responding to the specific needs of the project, site, and client. One such logic of spatial order was that of the designation of private and public space as distinct forms. In most cases, there is a precisely equal measure proportioned spaces allocated to each sector, especially evident in some of our linear house typologies we have tried. These longer typologies share a similar proportioning system on the plans, with generous living spaces distinguished in height from private spaces. This family space, for example, in the Punalur house, measures almost a near perfect cube in its proportions. Similar systems are in place for two other houses in Tiruvalla. In Cheppanam House, this typology graciously invites a courtyard and bold shapes within the composition. All of these elements and tools of organizing are derived from our continuing study of projects built and unbuilt. In this way, the recurring element of drawn projects began to exert their existence in the present. Recurring architectural form that emerged in consecutive projects upon their demise are distilled and recorded in a new metaphysical planes. Another construct was that of the room under the sky, something which began recurring from the deep pit we earlier redrew of our old project, the Kappimadam. At first as the leftover space in the roof of the Chammanad house, but in the subsequent project, it started claiming a more central and significant role in the house. For instance, in the Tekkumkara house, it not only became the physical center of the building, but it also is the emotional core owing to the fact that it was built over the traces of an old house that stood on the site. The marking of the ancestral house were drawn and engraved into the courtyard, which brings the light, rain, and the breeze into the residence. In the Changanasheri house, the room under the sky is a garden, providing a green lung in a tight site, which otherwise could not provide a green space on the ground. This here is the terrace of the house. What are the many different iterations of the boring cube? An academic exercise, the solo house with an inhabited wall on one side, a tower and a field reinforces a cube placed in solitude in space and time on a metaphysical landscape. Another attempt, the artist's residence and studio, is an exploration of modernism in a tropical context. The plan is composed of a cluster of additive form with juxtaposing geometries. The carporch and staircase, the auspicious line running along the east-west direction, sets the composition. The main house, square in plan, creates tension with its auxiliary components. The house form is a bare cuboid, or rather the remnant of a truncated cube with symmetrically articulated openings. The square plan is a humble version of the 9 grid, simultaneously taking care of the house function on the ground level, but on the upper level, it houses the artist's studio. The humble 9-grid spatial layout is enlivened and made unexpectedly superfluous by the elegant expression of its volume and the precision of the fundamental parameters of symmetry, order, and repetition. Located in a compact mid-sized plot on the city outskirts, surrounded by a verdant landscape of green field, an object in the landscape. More objects in the landscape followed, this time in the flood-prone areas of Alapi. The house on stilts is another 9-grid, almost anticipating the later projects to follow. Another house in Ollur and a house in Edatwa loosely follows the same line, with the latter showing further interest by absorbing and standing up on an interlocking cylinder form at the center. The house in Puthankurus consistently builds on all the cues developed within the cube iteration attempt. We have used the cube time and time again in various manifestations to suit the requirements of different clients, and each time it has provided appropriately suited results, particularly in the first option of the A2 Manur house. The form emulates the geometry of the traditional house marked in red, with low hanging eaves and the volume of the house matching the height of the pitched roof. Another attempt was the autonomous blocks. Autonomous blocks was a way of assigning individualistic formal definition to different programs within a domestic setting. In Kanyampura house, the private spaces of the bedrooms are enclosed within cuboids placed within the more open plan layout of the house containing the social spaces. The same logic applies in the interior design of an apartment interior, where each room takes on a hue of color and expression. In the Trikakara house, in an attempt to save the trees on the site, each program is assigned a more or less equal bay and arranged with least disturbance caused to the trees. The last attempt, one of the most prominent themes that stood out through our study of the traditional houses in Kerala, is the absolute, indelible presence of hierarchy in the organization and usage of space. When scrutinized as just objects devoid of any baggage, these houses tend to present a non-hierarchical ordering of spaces. But in reality, life never unfolds that way. Across all religious communities, houses such as these were built for the upper section of the society only, and displayed a blatant division of space according to the place and position afforded to each individual in the house. We wondered if it was possible to rewrite these spaces and to make them more democratic and equitable. We always loved the works of Italian radical architects Akizum and Superstudio. Their visionary practices professed a new polemic of democratic, non-hierarchical spaces that remain relevant to this day. Their result is an influence of a generation of architects like us, thinkers and practitioners. One of the most iconic works to come out of this was the Superstudio's universal grid, a generic plane that would absorb everyone and everything. Today's World Wide Web is one such example of it. We attempt to reimagine this idea, this approach, through a student exhibition designed for Seed Architecture College in Cochin for their annual student work. This was conducted at Durbar Hall, one of the most prominent venues in the cities. The existing geometry of the Durbar Hall is modulated, manipulated, and extended indefinitely into an elusive, infinite place with the addition of homogeneous elements adapted for various uses. Unconsciously, the visitor is offered a unique perception of the space, allowing them to view a familiar venue with a new lens. With the intention of making the space more legible, the deliberate subdivision and interruption introduced following universal codes of grid geometries allows a huge degree of freedom within a regulated space and system. The residence at Cherthala is a critical experiment on this line, on this investigation that we engage in within our practice of a non-hierarchical, inherently democratic, and seemingly infinite multiplying space. We perpetually experiment on the idea of the universal room that is devoid of program and context. Resembling the traditional houses of Kerala, which are organized in a series of rooms, one after the another, the rooms in this atelier house also follows a strict linear order. This is also a house for our dear architect friend, who is also a photographer. Not only are these rooms identical in size and volume, they are interchangeable in regard to function. It can turn from an intimate bedroom to the social space of a kitchen to the entertainment venue of the living room. In order to emphasize the similarity of the rooms, the entire built structure is imagined as a monolith by restricting the building to a limited palette of materials. The walls and roofs are both made of terracotta tiles. Endemic to the tropical context, the window opening in the monolithic form are lined with red sandstone to camouflage them into the singular form. On the inside, the surface is lined with birch plywood on the walls and ceiling, and cement tile flooring on, matching its color. The use of mirror surface in the last room also ensures the illusion of infinity, extending space to the infinity, as the monumental landscapes of Super Studio. But in the 2020 house, the question of hierarchy is reversed. The question of hierarchy was brought to the fore again, rather than relegating domestic functions such as cooking and eating to the back of the house, hidden from view, as seen in traditional houses. In the 2020 house, it became the center of the house itself. One of the most primitive and symbolic cosmic centers of a home is often the hearth, the form of which varies from place to place. Resonance of the hearth can be analyzed in many iconic works of art and archetypes of home, making it one of the most primitive aspects of dwelling to have continuously re-emerged in architecture through time. Our logical interpretation of the hearth as an architectural element was in the form of the table. The symbolic and functional role of the table as the stage for cooking, eating, playing, working, doing homework, socializing, and so on brings together the most intimate functions of a home. In this house, designed for a globe-trotting couple, their daughter, and their collection of books in the seaside city of Kochi, Kerala, the table fulfills the role of the hearth and becomes the heart and soul of the space. Being a very close-knit family of three, the centrality and vantage point of the table draws them close together at any time for shared activities of living. The table becomes a bespoke, sculpted element distinct in its materiality, finished in polished wood. It exudes warmth and intimacy, evoking our deepest memories and architectural experiences of the kitchen and the home. The white, seamless walls seem to flow from this sacred core, forming a pristine and pure architectural form, seemingly devoid of the burden of contextual gestures. The expression of the house as a monolithic space emphasized the hierarchical prominence of the hearth. As a first strategy, we brought down walls in the common areas and introduced a curvilinear geometry of white plain walls. This achieved an uninterrupted spatial layout bathed in abundant natural light. The playful articulation of the walls create parallel worlds of light and shade, flooding the interiors in pleasant sunlight and muted hues. The light alone is the ornament. The curved white walls direct one's gaze towards the hearth, once again reiterating the core. In other projects, we have attempted to nullify the presence of hierarchy by assigning similar rooms, similar sizes, similar volumes, appropriate for all domestic functions. Rooms become interchangeable and the day-to-day use of the space flow through them uninterrupted. In the Perambra house, set in a lush landscape surrounded by paddy fields, one sees the simultaneity of the presence and absence of hierarchy. The young client desired for a space of refuge to be placed in the landscape, which could elevate the experience of the surroundings from within the home. The rectangular form of the outhouse was placed parallel to the paddy fields on the western side, and from its length, an excavated square court formed on the right side, that is on the east, in the presence of a grove of areca palm trees and a mango tree. The service space, such as kitchen, bathroom, study, were placed on the eastern side and expressed a solid edge cutting the view of the paddy field as one approaches the house. The living, dining, and bedroom spaces are placed facing the open side with an ever-changing view of the paddy field and lush greenery. The non-denominational nature of the program is visible here, with every room getting a similar access, view, dimensions, and light quality. To welcome the dappled morning light on the eastern side, trickling through the canopy of the large mango tree, the roof was imagined as a part circle, gently curving the surface of the concrete roof, gets washed in the morning light as well as in the evening light. It appears to be levitating. At the lowest point of the curved roof, it swoops down to frame the view of the paddy field on the western side. As one enters the house, the panoramic view is emphasized by the form of the curvilinear roof floating on top of concrete columns. The morning sun as it hits the curved surface. A recurring theme we have explored in its spatial arrangement is of a series of rooms looking into either a common hall or a courtyard. In the Deepak Elugon house, this opens up the private spaces and connects them with the family space. The geometry of the universal grid becomes particularly efficient in this new attempt by providing infinite possibilities of arrangement. In the Kunur house, for instance, every room is offered a fantastic view of the hilly landscape around it. The exploration is about openness and closeness, both on the roof as well as on the walls. With all 4 rooms having the same view, the same size, and same or interchangeable functions. The exploration of the grid plan was taken one step ahead in the residence designed for Arun and Ashwati in Vernikulam. It's a 9-grid plan with equal dimensions. This was further extended as a second option for the same client, which became a 16-grid plan with one floor, a 16-grid plan of individual squares assigned with interchangeable domestic functions. Each grid is expressed distinctly with a roof form, forming an almost sculptural insert in the landscape. The roof form also brings in light to the interiors of the house. Emulating memories of the rooms in traditional houses, where some rooms have doors on all sides leading to other rooms or to the outside, the Arun Ashwadi residence becomes a new exploration in the series of non-hierarchical, generic houses that we have attempted. Although the rooms are identical in plan, through sections and volumetric expressions, the rooms experience different qualities of light individually, and therefore comes a variation. There was a sound to this particular. Yeah, there was a background. Though the rooms are equal in sizes and measure on the plan, the sections make each room individualistic in terms of ambience, daylight. So I want to end with the quote that the only possible utopia is quantitative. So this was the resounding polemic behind Andrea Branzi's work, The No-Stop City, that aimed to present a paradoxical response to modern architecture, to compensate for the futility of a heterogeneous and finite architecture with that of a homogeneous, continuous, quantitative, unending, uniform city originating from the universal grid. It's freed from history, prejudice, and purpose. At the core of the discourse was the beautiful notion that good design must be democratic and must be for all, or none at all. Inspired by this, we developed our own utopia, prepared this drawing for a presentation that we did in Thrissur IAA. The size of the provided screen was 3 meters in height and 12 meters in length, forming an 1:4 ratio, measuring about 36 square meter, which is like 1 cent of land. Within this modest dimension, we imagine not a singular space, but equal square rooms. But it is neutral, interchangeable, and inherently non-hierarchical. Together, they echo the spatial logic of the no-stop city and present an alternative to the average domestic interior, resourceful, pragmatic, and unconcerned with formal hierarchy. In this seemingly banal digital plane, our practice found itself a set of urgent, unresolved questions that challenge the disciplinary boundaries of architecture itself. The provocation is not a rejection of architecture, but a call for its redefinition, one that values diagram as much as the detail. The practice is equal to architectural drawings. It is an architecture labor in itself, where the perpetuity of the idea far outlives the building itself. We propose a practice unburdened by finality, where drawing is not a step towards building, but a space of building in itself. Architecture here is neither a problem nor a solution. It's a framework for questioning. Thanks a lot. I happen to present about some 30 houses that we did in 30 minutes. And it was reduced to its diagrams most of the time. And in a way, it's trying to tell the way we practice our profession. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All your homes that you've presented, they were very, very, very poetic. I mean, the space, it was simple geometry, but it was simplified and then used into houses. And I think every house had a different character. And the sacredness of the spaces inside were felt. And I almost felt like it was like a movie, it was growing on you. So, commendable work, sir. Up next, we have a presentation by our sponsor, Simpolo, bringing us their fresh perspective in the design. I request the representative to come out on the stage.
No, we have a video. I have told him this. Good evening to all of you, respected Chairman IIA Ahmedabad, distinguished members of Ahmedabad chapter, and all friends who are here for this evening's program of Ahmedabad Collective 4.0. We have, as an organization, Simpolo has been associated with the architects at a pan-India level, and I'll just share as to what the organization is all about. Then we'll share a video as to how we manufacture products, how we assimilate the products, and what is the research and development, and what all goes as far as the product development is concerned. So we've been in the business for almost about 45 years. We started with sanitary ware. The main plant or the parent plant is located at Morbi. And then about 22 years back, we ventured into tiles. And we are a premium category product, a niche product, which is liked by the architects for its innovation, for its designs, and for the conceptualization, what we do, and the processes involved as far as developing the products are concerned. And apart from Mobi, now, just to update you, we have invested almost 1,000 crores. While we come up with two plants, one is in Naidupeta and near Tirupati in Andhra Pradesh, which is almost up and will be supplying to the entire south. And then we have added on another plant which is at Malia near Morbi, which is going to be upstream from April 2026. And sanitary we are manufacturing at Morbi. We are also launching faucets shortly. So we will have a complete portfolio. Apart from this, we have a high-end brand called Neotra, which is into large format slabs, which is also being produced at Morbi. And we have pan-India presence with offices and showrooms. Ahmedabad, we have a corporate office at Times Square Grand, and the company display center, the Simpolo Gallery, is located at next to the Thaltej Gurdwara. I mean, there's a complete display of tiles and sanitary over there. So I'll share the video with you, and please have a look, and I'm sure you will be able to grasp on the manufacturing, and if there's anything which I can support after the video is done, please do let me know, and I shall be grateful to do it. Over to the video, please.
Gianluca Mariani, I come from Italy and I'm the product manager for Simpolo Group. What we can do here in Simpolo, we are very lucky because we can have the possibility to take our time, dedicate our time to taking care of the details of the design, to just develop our product that is also our passion. So design, it means also comfort, no? So we want to speak the same language of architects and be helpful for the final customer, for the architect. So create collection that can combine, works together, have a philosophy and speaks the same language, so that you can play with our collection, because when we design, we just think of how can be useful our collection for the architect. So create a combination of size and color that can be helpful for the architect to create spaces, ambient, building. So we take our inspiration from nature, from natural stones that we find all around where we see the natural material. We take inspiration from the city that we see, from the travel that we make, from the beauty of art that we meet in our life, and we express that in our product. So that's our philosophy. Taking care and put all our emotion and all ourselves into the design, into our product, from our routine, from what we like. So the point is find something that you like, and then think is translation into our product. So then it's all about making different tests, different experiments. There is a lot of research. Research is the key. So you start from something that you like, that you find in nature or in art or in architectural, and make our own translation into ceramic tiles. Yes, glyphstone comes from petroglyph, and it was an engraving on the rocks, and that's what we did on our product. So making our own interpretation, of course, in more contemporary way of engraving our product and leave a mark, leave a trace on the design, no? That's what we want to do. So just leave an impression of our way to make the design, to our make a collection. Well, Veneto Terrazzo is something very special because it takes inspiration from Venice, and from terrazzo were used. Terrazzo was created by Romans, and it's a real example of what is design. So make something useful, also beauty, because Romans just decide to take the discarded part of the marbles, the colored marbles, Giallo Siena, Rosso Verona, Marmo di Carrara, Statuario, the part that was used for buildings that was remaining, they decide to broke all this part, mixed all this marble with cement, and they create terrazzo. So they made something very, very useful. They used something that was discarded to create something beauty. This is design, something that is useful and beautiful at the same time. This is exactly what we want to do. So we make our own interpretation of the terrazzo with Veneto collection. We are lucky because in ceramic we could put our aesthetic point of view, so we can balance the marble, create an harmony, create an endless experience of marble, so balance, details, create something that is harmonious, that is relaxing for your eyes, that creates a peaceful space, but then when you go deep inside of this, you see the beauty of the details, of the fossils, of the crystals, made by 1,000 years of history. So with the collection of Simpolo, you can immediately understand and you can immediately realize how you can use it. So it's not just a big number of proposals randomly, everything is well noted, well studied, the point of color, the size, the dimension. We already know the look that we will have in a big floor, in a big wall. So everything is more easy, it's more helpful. Everything works together because we already tried all the different combinations that you can have. So with one collection, you will have different use, multiple use, and everything will become easy. So our job is make it easy. This is the design.
So the gentleman who presented is Gyan Luca. He is our head for R&D based at Italy. We have got an office at Italy and we do a lot of research and development activities at Italy and get the designs from there. So there's a full-fledged office and Gyan Luca takes care of the operations out there. I'm sure you would get a lot of insight on the product if you please visit our showroom at Thaltej Gurdwara, and while you are traveling anywhere, any part of the country, we have our display centers at all the locations and offices, and our representatives and team members are there. So anytime any support is required, please do connect and we shall be glad to help you out and give you the support. Thank you very much for a patient hearing. Thanks.
Thank you. To continue our evening with yet another inspiring guest speaker, we have with us architect Shabbir Unwala. Graduated from Academy of Architecture, Rachna Sansad, Mumbai. In 1986, he worked for a couple of firms in Mumbai till 1987, but realized that personal architectural journey resided not in urban setting, but in the mountains of Lonavala. I'm sure every one of us agree to that. In 1988, he joined Nachiket and Jayo Patwardhan, where besides doing architecture, he also worked with them on movies as an assistant art director for Canadian movie called Bye Bye Blues, and as an assistant director on Marathi feature film called Limited Manuski. Started design workshop in 1989, and since then, he has been chasing his chimera called architecture, where I look for the intersection of subtle art of storytelling with the hard logic of structure. The journey of last 38 years has been one of the adventure. He has been fortunate to do various building typology, villas to resorts, to five-star hotels, to hospitals, and to the museums, schools, training centers, public promenades, auditoriums, temples, and while doing, he has also developed a completely new typology of diet buildings, or how to build on mountain slopes. Structures has been one of the exploration of the pushing boundaries between possible and impossible. Machan Resort, as everybody knows, the first of the diet building was selected by CNNGO in 2007-8 as 23 ideas for sustainable future. Structure also is a part of architecture's journey, where it's not treated just as bones, but also as a pacemaking device, like the building. It looks backward to go forward, but using modern materials, it is the motto of the design workshop. Let us all welcome architect Shabbir Unwala on stage as he takes up on his journey through his works. So I request you to please come up on the stage and take over.
Is there some kind of light I can read? And this is my Good evening, friends. It's a pleasure to be over here. And I thank Ahmedabad Collective and Indian Institute of Architects, Ahmedabad. I'm extremely happy to share my architectural journey, which started with designing houses. Houses are as a typology is always very close to every architect's heart, because that's what we start our practice with. And so is the case with me. Houses are great teachers, for it taught me the nuances of space and subtlety of light. But most importantly, it taught me how to listen to the land and to respond accordingly. Houses have always acted as a crucible of ideas for larger projects that followed in my career. For it allowed me to experiment with ideas of structure, but with a safety net. You know, when you're doing a house, you can experiment without getting too much worried that if something fails, it's going to be catastrophic. So that allowed me to do a lot of experimentation. And that's why I call it's a crucible of ideas. And I think it's for every one of us. I mean, if you look at Corbusier's Villa Savoy, that's where he started with the pilotus and the ramp and all. So houses has been a crucible of ideas. And it allowed me to experiment with material and scale. Also, practicing out of Lonavala has its advantages, as we mostly do second homes. And the best part of second homes is that the land parcels are bigger, locations are always very scenic, budget is never an issue, and tremendous amount of experimentation because of the terrain that varies widely from forests to waterfalls to steep slopes to flattish ground to lakefronts. Building in nature means to design with nature. Design with nature is a very big word. It has variety of meanings. But what we have tried to do is establish the true relationship between architecture and nature. This relationship is very important because it's from this relationship everything follows, both the tangible and the intangible. Tangible aspect leads to forms, and intangible leads to space. And space, being the soul of architecture, demands proportions so that spaces are sublime. And we try to achieve it by using geometry as a means. Architecture is of the earth, but it always aspires for the heavens. And it's that aspirations that makes us push the boundaries into unknown. As a student, the inspiration not only came from the masters, but also from other modern architects like Richard Neutra, Glenn Murcutt, and also very importantly, Buckminster Fuller. But closer home was privileged to go and see the work of Nari Gandhi, and also saw the construction of three walls at Mud Island, which was kind of an eye-opener for me. Nari's houses were always lined on the ground rising up. Here was architecture where the process was as important, if not more than the final product. It's this experience that stayed with me and became an inspiration for my first project. So in today's presentation, you will also see when the context changes, so does the design strategies and a response to it. So the first house that I'm going to share with you is also the first house that I ever built in my life. And this is a stone house. This is, as I said, that you learn to listen to the land. And in this case, when the client bought this property, it was a completely ravaged ground because the guy from whom he bought it, he was selling all the soil and leaving the boulders over there. And so I'll just run you through with our design process. So normally what we do is, as a default mode, our designs are derived from geometry. As Madhushita also said, that's always been a starting, it's a point of departure. So this has been derived from a golden rectangle. It's a plan. Yeah, so the land was completely ravaged with boulders over there. And this is like the first house I've got a commission to do it. And I had no heart to say that, let's look for another piece of land. I thought that I'd waited 3 years of my life to had an office without any projects, and here somebody comes and gives you a job. So I was shit scared to say, okay, let's look at another piece of land, because in that search for another land, I may lose the project. So I said, okay, let's do it. So what we decided was, whatever the boulders were there on the land, that became the building block for us. And so this is what we call as a stone house. The house was built from the material that actually came out from the land. So what we decided was, what do you do with a stone? It's a load-bearing structure. And the structural system became the arches. And these are segmental arches. So in this project, I was wearing 3 different hats because I always wanted to understand that an architect's point of completely different than a contractor's point of view and a structural engineer's point of view. It's like 6 blind men and an elephant. Everybody talks about architecture, and they're talking of the same building, but from different point of view. So I said, let's try and understand everybody's point of view. So I became not only the architect, I became a contractor, I became a structural engineer, and I also did the landscaping. So this is the first house, and I continued this way for a few years to get a complete grip on architecture. And as I said, that this is that you try to experiment. So these are my arches over here. It's at an angle, it's parallel to this wall. And these are what you call as a flying buttresses, because these were like 23 feet segmental arches, and to support it you needed flying buttresses. But we decided that, okay, we have buttresses on one side, let's not have it on the other side. So how do you neutralize the forces? And then an idea came that you have a curved wall, because when the arch goes and hits at the junction, the forces go tangentially and the forces get resolved. Now this is my first house. I'm doing all the experimentation. So you can see this curved wall going over there, an arch over there, an arch resting on another arch. So this is the land, and it's still like this because it's a large chunk of land. It's 3 acres of land, and it's like a moonscape. So this is the main entry. So these, what you see, are the flying buttresses. You can switch off the lights. You can switch off these lights. So this house has been kind of a tribute to Nari Gandhi, because when I shifted to Lonavala, there were two houses that he was making. One was for Usha Jain, the other one was for Metro Shoes. And every 8 to 10 days I would be visiting it. And to see his buildings coming up is an experience, because it's unlike anything that you'd ever see in your life. They're without drawings, completely without drawings. And Nari is as involved on the site. I mean, he would be there every second or third day. He would be there at 7 in the morning. He would leave from Bombay at around 4 o'clock, reach by 7. And amazing. I mean, it is something to be. I had the privilege of taking Mickey and Madhvi to Nari's houses, and it's an experience. So this house, I saw the whole houses coming up, and so this was a tribute to Nari Gandhi. This was inspiration from him, my first house. So this is an interesting thing that happened. You see this arch coming and resting on another arch. Now, when we designed it, the geometry, now I was stuck. How do you support this arch? And these are true arches. These are not RCC cladded with stones or anything like that. So I asked a friend of mine who was a structural engineer and MTech from IIT Bombay. I took him to the site and I said, I need your help. He came along with me and he said, it's not possible. He says, you got to put 2 columns on either side, put a beam, hide it with stone, and let the arch come and rest over there. And you don't want to start your career by doing all these kind of cheating, you know. So I said, nothing doing. So then I told, so this is another thing, you know, the first house that I got, I wouldn't even call him a client, I would call him a patron, because he gave a complete freedom in terms of ideas and in terms of finance. I mean, he didn't say, I have a budget like this. And I think that's a kind of a seed that got into me to take risk, you know, because when somebody backs you up like that, okay, yes, I trust you, and just go ahead and do that. And I think we architects need to take risk, because you're trying to push the boundaries of what is known and the unknown. And without taking risk, we cannot achieve what we can. I mean, how do you push the boundaries of architecture? So it's that kind of the first project. I was lucky enough to get somebody who was a patron. You know, client is a very transactional relationship, because when you say a client, the client says, I give you money, you give me the services, and that's it. But a patron is an aspirational relationship, because what he's trying to get out of you is a work of art and not just a product. So I was kind of a very lucky. I've been lucky in my life, because the other projects that I'm going to show you, is absolutely not possible with a normal kind of a client and an architect relationship. So yeah, so what happened was, sorry. So I said nothing doing, we want this to be supported on the arch. So I spoke to the mason, the main mason who was doing this work, and we decided that we will work, this thing may work. So I spoke to the client because I'm taking a huge risk, you know. So the client, he said, what's the worst case scenario? Will it fall down and will it kill somebody? I said, listen, there's nobody dying over here. The worst case scenario is the whole arch may just collapse. He says, okay, go ahead and do that. And it's standing, it's like 2025. This was done in 1992. So it's still standing. And so that's another thing that I realized early on in my life. The kind of people that we have, the human talent that our country has, amazing, you know, I mean, which unfortunately in the times that we live in, we are not able to tap on them. But it's terrific amount of knowledge because this guy comes from a family of masons. So it's like a generational thing. And the amount of knowledge that he has is unbelievable. And these are all the segmental arches done by him. The second thing I realized is the materiality. Now these are the things, because I was doing things myself, you realize that brick and stone is a digital mode and concrete is an analogous mode. So when you're using a material and you want to push it to its limit, you try to use the nature of that material. Now, when I say digital, it means it comes in bits and pieces, stone. Concrete flows like water. So it's analogous. You can give it any shape that you want out of concrete, but you cannot give any shape that you can with a digital mode. So now you see this is a stone that's cut at an obtuse angle, which you would not be able to do it out of brick, you know. So then you understand the materiality, the possibilities of how you detail out a building with the material that you're using. Yeah, so that was the first house that I ever did in my life. This is a lake house. Now this is a beautiful lake in Lonavala called Pauna Lake, one of the most scenic lakes. People compare it to Lake Como in Italy and Switzerland. It's surrounded by mountains. And we got to design this house bang on the lake. And it belongs to one of the biggest contracting companies in India. So you had a lot of leeway that you could do what you want in terms of construction. So the shoreline was pretty rocky because it's what you call is a black basalt area. So the idea was that how do you build, what material to use. So I thought about using exposed concrete, almost looks like a black basalt, like a rock. And the design tries to mimic, so we didn't even use mangrove tiles, we didn't use shingles for the roofing. It's just like a chunk of concrete on the lakefront. And luckily, when we did the roof, I said I want to do Tremix on the roofing. And they were game for it, you know, because it's a sloping roof and you got to do Tremix because we didn't want to do waterproofing. We wanted the concrete to be completely rock solid, and that's what we were able to achieve with this one. So it's 2 squares. So it's a house of courtyards, the skylight, and the water and the mountains. So these becomes my courtyard, courtyard, courtyard. And then you have rooms around it. So the inside is also completely raw. There's a beautiful mountain which is called Tungi, and that's a fort up there. So that's a third courtyard. So this is the Machan, and it's been very special because with this we were able to start a typology which we call as a diet building. And this is again completely, it's a patron. He allowed me to do something that is, he allowed me to do completely something that has never been done before. Thank you. So Mr. Huja, who's the owner of this property, he had been nurturing this for the last 17 years. He bought a land where the tribals had completely cut the trees. Only the stubs would be there. He fenced it up and let the nature take over. It's one of the few places in Lonavala which is full of only the Western Ghat trees. And the flora and fauna is unbelievable. In fact, they were able to, so what happens is they get naturalists from all over the world. They come and do research over there. They spend 6 months to a year. And they were able to find a species of frog that has not been recorded. So it's that kind of a thing. So when he wanted to make a house, he had retired, his children had gone to America, and he came to me and said, want to make a house. So he got this 25 acres of land. He showed a flat piece of land. He says, why don't you make something over there? And for me, I said, makes no sense. You have fantastic forest. Let's do a tree house. So he says, okay, give me a week to think about it. After a week, he gave me a call and he said, there is a wild fig tree, which is called Umbar in Maharashtra. It's considered one of the holy trees, you know. And he had made a small bamboo machan, where he would go and sit over there to oversee his property. He says, why don't you go have a look at it? If you feel this is something that is a good location, you start designing it. I went up over there, and it's fantastic. So you had a little rickety kind of a bamboo bridge because the tree is on the mountain slope. And from the flat ground, you need to have a bridge to go there. And it's fantastic. Then he said, And then he said something very important. He said, forget cutting the tree. Don't even cut a branch of my tree. And that is something, because that's a sensitivity. Because staying in Lonavala, you realize that nature is extremely beautiful. And I always call it kind of a God's painting. Like if any one of us were to buy a painting, say a Hussein or a Raza or something, and we spend crores of rupees, will we do any alteration to it? We will not do it because you have paid so much of money to it and you think it's a work of art. But we, without thinking, we completely abuse God's painting. So for me, it's like that. When you stay in nature, the last thing you want to do is your human intervention should be minimum. You do not disturb nature. And I see in Lonavala people come with a JCB and then they cut the mountain, make retaining walls. And that's a kind of worst kind of development that you can ever think of, because when you're changing the land, you have so much of flora and fauna. There are underground streams that flow through it, and everything you are changing it. So this was a brief that not to cut the branch of a tree. So how do you build on a forest? It's a complete forest. So the idea came, so you have a fig tree. What we call now, I was doing this in 2007. What we call nowadays, it's a biomimicry. You try to mimic what nature does. And this, I realized that when you have a tree, what is a tree? A tree is nothing but an inverted pyramid. Now, if I have to make a house in a forest with very small footprint, I got to design it as an inverted pyramid, like a tree. So I started mimicking like a tree. So tree is nothing but an inverted pyramid. And the house started happening around the tree. So the tree became a courtyard, and the house is 45 feet above the floor of the forest, because it's on the slope, and this is like 45 feet above the forest. So it's on 4 columns, and the house happens around it. And this point, which is called the crow's nest, is 75 feet above the ground. This has been a completely a green building. So when we did this house, there was no electricity, completely no electricity, no roads. So the whole house was built in Pune. It's a nut and bolt structure. It was assembled in Pune, dismantled, brought to site. And that's when it hit me, that when the pieces came, there were hundreds and thousands of pieces of the house, and nothing was numbered. Nobody knew except one guy who had done that. And this place is in a forest. And that's when I lost it, and this guy was not even from Pune, he was from a place called Latur, which is kind of halfway down in Maharashtra. I realized that if this guy walks out because for whatever reason, I'm screwed. Because I have hundreds of pieces, nobody knows. The client trusted me, and everything would be a junk because there was no way to put it back. So every day in the morning, I would leave at 7:38, reach the site and make sure that this guy doesn't leave, you know. So for the next 3 months of my life was only this, to make sure that this guy does not run away. And he didn't, you know. And it's amazing, you know, this whole thing coming up in the most primitive way, because there is no crane that could go over there. You have beams like 40, 45 feet. Each beam had to go down, and, you know, this is the first time I was making a steel structure. They had put one pole with a pulley on top. The steel would go down, and then with a rope, they would pull it back. And one beam would take them 2 days to 3 days to pull it up. And slowly the whole house started coming up. So that's part of our practices, because when we do something like this, you have to be involved in the whole process of making it. It's not just designing and giving the drawings, because the challenges in Lonavala and to do these kind of things are of the next level. So yes, this house is 90% recyclable. It's made out of steel. So we use not a virgin steel. We use recycled steel. We use recycled wood. So it's wood, steel, and glass. The walls are also made out of stone. We did not use any wet construction. So this is the tree. This is like a living, dining, and a bed over here. Kitchen, toilet, staircase that goes down. There's a room which is hanging. It is supported only from the top. It doesn't have any other support. And what you have over here, a staircase going up, is a sleeping balcony. And the roof is mangrove tiles. So again, as I said, there's completely dry construction. That's your sleeping balcony. That's your hanging room. So this is suspended from the top, and this is on this thing. So I got few of the images of the making of the machan. It overlooks the valley. There's no human construction for miles together. So he's a man, the key person to the whole project. So we were able to put this up from starting the work in Pune to on-site in 6 months flat, yeah, with all the challenges. And in between, for a month, the work had to stop because there was this kind of a anti-North Indian thing happening in Maharashtra. So all the UP and Bihar guys, they just left Maharashtra. So the carpenter was a UP guy. Suddenly the whole site came to a standstill. But with that also, we were able to wrap it up in like 6 months. You can see this going to the crow's nest. That's a sleeping balcony. It's a main machan. This is your hanging room. That's your wild fig tree and a courtyard happening around it. So this is a bridge that you come. So we used a lot of marine design elements, because I'm quite fascinated by ships and the ship design. In fact, all the lights are from a old ship. All the light fittings came from the ship. This one that you see is a drawbridge. So in the night, so this one is a drawbridge. So you have a ramp that you come up from. In the night, you can close this off. So it's completely cut off, The second thing that we tried in this was, I had heard a podcast which said that in America, every year, around 2 to 3 million birds die because they go and bang into the glass buildings. The birds are not able to make out that there is a glass over there. Imagine 2 to 3 million birds dying. You can't make out. And here I am doing something right in the middle of the forest. And the last thing I wanted is, that's again being sensitive to everything around you. I said, how do you solve this thing? So one of the idea came, the walls of the glass, because it's a completely glass as you can see it, you keep the glass at an angle leaning outside. And trust me, we have not had a single bird hit for the last 18 years since it's been there. Because the birds can sense that there is something over there and they do not go and hit the glass. The good thing also it happened was in the night, the house doesn't look like a barber shop, because if the walls are straight, you put on the light, everything gets reflected. So here you can see this branch coming inside. We put the lights around it, trying to mimic that if we can grow to make sure that the branch doesn't die. We worked out a system where you can see this at the bottom. So we worked out a cross ventilation. So on the windward side, you would have ventilators down there, and on the leeward side, it's on the top. So you have a natural ventilation happening. Again, that's your shipping deck. In the ships, they have a decking board. Yeah, so this is a shipping deck. This is what takes you down, and that's the sleeping balcony on the top. So it's a very informal kind of a spaces that is not what you would call as with walls and all. Because again, as I said, it's a second home. And in terms of the requirement and the people, the expectations are not that, unlike a first home, that would be very, extremely curated and very straitjacketed. This is a sleeping balcony. This is a hanging room. And it's a completely different because the upper floor is like a treetop, and this is almost like a nest in a tree. And that's your sleeping balcony. So this is a view from the crow's nest. So friends, Sanjay and Girish and now this is the location. So you can imagine. So how do you destroy nature like this, you know? One has no heart to do any, not to touch it, you know. You make your building like a spaceship, just park it over there. So there's a little video that we have made. How do I play this? So this is the last one that I'm going to show. This has been the most difficult project of my life. It took me 9 years to complete. It's on a waterfall. So this client bought a land, which is just a waterfall. It's like a slice of a pizza, triangular, 100 feet difference from the entry point. And there's no way that, so there is no internal road also. Everything had to be done manually. So all the steel had to be taken up manually. Now again, this guy comes in your life, he's a patron, because this has been the most riskiest house that I've ever done. It is on a waterfall. I was thrilled to get a project like that, because where do you get a chance to build on a waterfall? There was no other way to build it. And how do you build on a waterfall? So I thought that the water, to experience the water coming towards you, is something that I would like to experience, you know. And then so you got to have a house that floats at the level of where the waterfall starts from. And then you see it coming towards you, and then it goes from underneath your building. So you needed a building, the house, the structure, to float in the air with a minimum support. And I'll just show you how it worked out. So again, it's derived from a square. It's a V. This is 100 feet long. And this is where the waterfall comes from. And then it goes from underneath it. So this is your waterfall. There are two wings. One is a bedroom wing, which is your private, and this is my living room, kitchen, and dining. You enter through a bridge. You walk from down 100 feet, and then you enter the house through the bridge. Because there is no road, you can't make a road. So again, so this is your entry. That's the waterfall that comes down. Then from over here it goes into the, it goes further. So imagine all this steel. Karjat is a very hot place. So during 3 months, when the temperature goes up to 46, 48 degrees, the work would start at 7 in the morning till 11, and then again at 5 in the evening till 9 in the night. Because the steel would get so hot, you couldn't handle it. There was no way to build it. And as I said, it took me 9 years to complete this. We started in 2011, and 2020 we completed it. And again, with the belief of the Satish, who's the owner, this house was not possible. Somebody would have just, so yeah, this is Satish, the owner of it. So the whole structure is treated as a tube. It's not like columns and beams. The whole tube is a structural element. So when we took this, when we started working, there was just 2 or 3 trees over there. We planted more than 600 trees into this property. And as you can see, from this, so this is it's what we call as a propped cantilever, which means 50% which is supported and 50% gets cantilevered outside. So it's a extremely minimum intervention that we have a footing over here for this wing, and similarly on the other side, and you have these 2 V columns that support the structure. So you can see this, and similarly over there, and the whole house floats on the waterfall. You can get an idea of the scale, this guy, and this is a completed waterfall. So you come through this bridge. You see the waterfall coming from down there. So here we have glass over here. You can see the waterfall down there. And there is a lot of these small bridges. So it's very interesting this, because it's a waterfall, there's a valley, you have little connections happening everywhere. You know, the concept of houses, how it's changed, because we as a culture have changed. Now, if this was to be done 30 years back, nobody would allow you to make a house which is completely a glass house, you know, including your bedroom, including your bathroom. Your bathroom is also part of the, so this is a bathroom over here, you can see this. I mean, how society changes, and things that were unimaginable becomes acceptable. So you come inside. So this is a complete living room, bar, and at the edge of it is a games area. And this is so it's around 65 feet down is your waterfall, the stream that goes through that. Okay. There is a video. This is, you'll get an idea. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was truly inspiring. I feel it was a beautiful way of using geometry and the structure. It was like challenging the nature, the forces of nature, but yet being a part of it. I think all young architects present over here, I think we need to push a little bit forward, take risks, and design something like this. We'll try. But I'm sure what in the process we'll learn is at least maybe the outcome might be a failure or it can turn into something beautiful like this. So let's take more risks. Thank you, sir. Next, we have our term partner, Stonic, a brand that is unique in itself. They have rare and eccentric beauty of various stones. I request the representative to come up on stage.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am Prakash from Stonic Marble World. So ours is a very small presentation. So who are we? At Stonic, we bring Ahmedabad the finest imported stones sourced from across the globe. Our focus is simple: to deliver timeless luxury surfaces that elevate every species they touch. So in our premium range, we have Italian marbles, onyx, exotic granites, quartzite, travertine, and other semi-precious stones. So this is the main question, why Stonic? There are many agencies, they are doing business in marble, but what sets us apart at Stonic, we offer a premium imported collection, a wide versatile range under one roof, assured premium quality, and most importantly, we maintain ready available stock, ensuring faster execution of your projects. Stonic stones bring unmatched elegance to luxury residence, hospitality, corporate spaces, retail and high-end interior projects. From flooring to wall cladding, countertops, feature walls, bathrooms, and decor accents, our stones transform every spaces into an experience. So our commitment is very simple: quality, elegance, and service excellence. We ensure that every piece we deliver reflects the luxury your project deserves. So I only want to say all the architects and designers, we understand the vision and design needs of architects and interior designers. Our role goes beyond being a supplier. We are your material partners, helping you select the right stone to match your design vision, mood boards, and the project theme. We invite you to visit our showroom, explore our collection, and experience the world of Stonic. Let's collaborate and create the timeless spaces together. Thank you.
Next, we move on to an engaging panel discussion on the topic contextual translation and design methodologies of a house. We all know that architecture needs to respond to its surrounding context. A house becomes more than just a shelter, but a reflection of its place, culture, and climate. Through this discussion, we shall try to understand and interpret the social, cultural, and environmental layers of a site that eventually lead to a meaningful spatial design. For the panel discussion, we have our two guest speakers for today, that is Madhusita Sir and Shabir Anwala. Along with them, we also have architect Surya Kakani today joining the session. Architect Surya Kakani Sir represents Kakani Associates, a practice established with his partner Jay as a collaborative between architecture and design. In 1995, each informing the other and subsequently informing a way of life. An underlying ethos of the practice has been to achieve efficiency in operation, minimize waste, and match form and expression closely to the imperatives of chosen construction system and processes, broadly related to sustainability along with the habitual essence of buildings. The practice has been naturally informed through Jay and Surya's strong academic linkages with architecture and design institutions, as they consider academics and practice as a mutually nurturing each other. Recognizing Surya's contribution to architecture's practice and continued collaboration with academics, from April 2017, he was appointed as Dean of Faculty of Architecture, CEPT University, a position he held till June 2020. Along with him, we also have a moderator, architect Ujjwal Parekh, an architect, founder, and partner at Reasoning Instinct Architecture Studio, and one of the core member of Feminist Collective in Architecture, FCA. A 2006 graduate of CEPT University, Ahmedabad, he has extensive experience of 19 years in high-rise residential, family residences, workspaces, and urban design. Driven by a deep interest in understanding cities, he completed his master's MA in urban design with distinction from National University of Singapore. He was a full-time lecturer at Singapore Polytechnic 2011 to 2014, trained in teaching and design thinking facilitation, and continues to engage in academics as a visiting tutor at CEPT. I now request Madhusita Sir, Shabir Anwala, Surya Kakani Sir to come up on the stage. Also, I hand over the mic to Ujjwal Parekh to carry forward now on.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ujjwal Parekh, and I'm very thrilled today to be moderating this evening's discussion uh, with such insightful voices of our fraternity. We have Madhustita, Shabir Unwala, and Surya Kakani with us today. And my excitement, there is a reason in a way, because I interned with Shabir Unwala, I think 2003. And today I get this opportunity to be part of this discussion after 22 years with him over here. And I had very good fond memories of my stay in Lonavala over there and a lot of learning from him. And just one instance, I remember walking into the house, you enter and there is a spiral staircase right up there to go up to the loft, to a reading room. And at that time, back in 2003, I was really wondering who would put a staircase like this. But as I came to know more about his approaches and everything, and now that I saw these examples further, it really, that that core in his heart still remains the same, probably in all these projects around there, right? So we saw two very perceptive presentations uh, by both of them, and which gave us some glimpses into the thought processes of how, I mean, design processes they are kind of taking forward in their practices, and they were very intriguing and inspiring at the same time. I've just made a small note on my little bit of what I saw today on both of sides. So with Madhu, I've got a permission to call you Madhu in that way. So it was amazing to see how you have kind of explored, analyzed, and attuned to your understanding of the traditional home theory. And you have successfully, in more than one cases, uniquely kind of sensibly adapted, reinterpreted, or abstracted and manifested at the same time in the kind of work that you have done. And I guess the trick here was that you were rigorously designing or got involved in design new scenarios, new sites within the same contextual scenarios, working within Kerala in that, for that matter, to build your array of designs that you have. And to me, this is the connotation of the architecture practice. You need that rigor to keep going on to what you believe in and keep doing it. So I heartily congratulate you and look forward to seeing more explorations done by you. And for Shabir bhai, I mean, the fiercely developed kind of idea of loving your own details in that way, also to realize how joyous can the act of making be. And even though it gives you more high blood pressures, but so the key point here is to celebrate the strength of the tectonics of the design while celebrating the details where materials come together, in a very unique manner. So probably that's kind of also gives us why we call this discussion as the idea of contextual translation and design methodologies, because we saw some very two distinct approaches over here. And with Surya, we all know in a way, especially, I mean, not only in Ahmedabad, we all know what kind of value he brings in through his work in the field. So I'm going to go back to the whole idea of the house, So this idea is perhaps the most fundamental and universally understood architectural typology, yet it is a more complex one because of its evolving nature of changing, how it keeps changing. You mentioned in the last example that earlier no one would have accepted a glass house, but now probably they are. So it is far more than a building, and because of the sense of belonging is kind of deeply rooted in the aspirations of the inhabitants that live in it, right? Even in the exhibition outside, we see different explorations on how architects have translated the functional requirements into spatial and formal expressions in that way. So one can observe how the designers and architects have responded through their designs and choreographed spaces to support daily rituals, the daily routine that goes into the house, allowing spaces to adapt themselves, exploring flexible layouts and everything, So also one can observe now of late is that the idea of designing with empathy, we're starting to addressing the emotional cues of and personal sides of the clients also at times, which see. So unlike the modern times where the designers had a more kind of dictated the design scenario and defined how to live rather than how one is supposed to live in that house. So we have come a long way. I would rather say a long Indian way of developing these designs of houses, and how we respond to the context, be it the social, the physical, or the climatic, or economical, or whatever it is. So in such a scenario, I like to ask a question to all three of you, is to how do you balance this deep personal aspiration and functional requirements of the client with the broader contextual demands, especially in India? Or for that matter, how do you balance it with your own architectural vision? You know, but you have your own vision in there. And is there ever been some kind of tension in between these aspects? And then how do you deal with it? Anyone?
So it has always been a troubling question when it comes to understanding a client, his aspirations, his dreams or her dreams. And right at the beginning of the practice, we had quite a lot of trouble, as always with any young practice. But over the period, what we have been trying to do is certain general, you know, certain general things that could be given. So it's like it's more universal in its nature. It's 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 like a collection of what one needs. So it's more, let's say, democratic or more collective in nature. So we are we are we don't we don't know how to you know produce architecture which is aligned with a client's very specific desires. It's too challenging for us. We have a behavior to do the general uh, aspects of a project, and that general aspect is quite fundamental. It is about light, it is about ventilation, it is about dimensions, and and a very normal client would agree to all of it. And but someone who is so specific, someone who has so much desireful, I don't know, maybe we might not go together, or we have lost so much of our works also in that sense. But our practice of drawings keeps the ideas alive. So that's how in our practice, none of our projects go into vacuum. It exists in the form of drawings, and it itself is a building for us. So that's how we manage that bridge between the clients. But of course, at the end of the day, architecture needs clients, and we somehow balance it.
So, as you said about aspirations, we work with the ultimate aspirations of a second home, because yeah, so second home is an extremely aspirational, because if you're rich, you want to show that you've arrived. And to show that you arrived, you need a second home, which is to make a statement. Now, so that is, you're dealing with extremely high aspirations. Second is they buy some of the most beautiful land that money can buy. So you have a thing of beauty, you have an aspiration. Now, the third thing that you have is a program. The client comes with a program. And one thing that I realized as an architect, you got to wear two hats. One is you be extremely logical like a lawyer, but you design like a poet. So when you have a logic, and you explain it to a client why you're doing something that you're doing, then you, you cannot say that the moment you start talking about abstract concepts like beauty and all, they do not understand that because they are not well versed with it. But the moment you talk about logic, why the spaces are the way they are and why they should be this way only, then logic is something that all of us as humans understand. And then you take it, once that is out of the way, the program is out of the way, you start designing like a poet. And that's what it is, that your architecture should be as logical as possible, but it should be sheer poetry. And that's what we try to do.
I'm still trying to understand the question, but you said something about tension between the client and the brief and the architectural position.
Kind of requirements and aspirations they put forward versus
Okay.
contextual demand. Sometimes you do often see that they're
yeah.
not matching in that way.
See, what happens is, I mean, at least the joke in our office was for a few years ago, we haven't done many houses. And the joke was only those people who had no choice, which is my mother-in-law, my sister, my cousin. These are the only houses we'd done till at least 5 years ago. It's only in the last few years we've been doing a few houses. And one of the things, and having done mostly small institutions along the way, one of the things I found that most clients actually have a very clear and simple brief. They have a requirement. It's the architects who, us, who have aspirations. At least in the situation that we've operated, unlike what Shabir just expressed, because it's, their houses, their first homes. And then, and somehow, for some reason, we've always been, I would say, I don't know whether it's lucky or we've either filtered, a default filter. We realized one thing, that when you're working with clients, you're actually working with them for the next 3, 4, 5, in fact, in many cases, even 10 years, as he said. And you decide whether those 10 years are going to be eventfully delightful or stressful. And you get a sense of that quite soon in the first few meetings, or first sense of them. And so you take forward work that you think you will also grow with, or you will learn, or you will enjoy the process, whether it's 1 year or 2 years or 5 years. And most architecture projects minimum are about 2 to 3, 4 years. So keeping that as a filter has helped us to some extent. And coming back to the idea of context, for us, it's been, mostly in these parts, where over some time we've been able to work with certain kinds of materials and certain kinds of people. And we've been able to develop that. And we haven't somehow not had that sense of tension that we described with the client, because that filter is already at work since the beginning. I would say the challenge has actually been how do you organize it within budget? How do you make sure that the budgets that have been provided, you perform within those budgets? How do you make sure that the kind of ethos that you want to work with, which is certain kind of materials, certain kind of hand skills, certain systems of construction. So, we do a lot of load bearing, so a lot of times initially you have to explain to them that, 2-floored or a 3-floored building, you really don't need column and frames. You can actually do with walls. And so all of those things, if you take them through the processes of your thinking, people are very intelligent, and they normally, in the last few years, we've also been experimenting with spanning without concrete. And we've found, and as long as structural engineers are with you, and you're able to kind of take the whole team forward, the clients are more or less game in many ways. So We also talk to them about, when we talk to them about skills, we are talking to them about social equity. We're telling them there are these skilled craftsmen, there are these so many skills in the country, whether it's masonry, that through the building process, you're able to kind of uh, spread your capital beyond giving it to a Lafarge or larger company, I mean, cement industries or steel industries. And the more number of people you involve in the building process, the better it is. So I think in that sense, uh, I would say that we've been pretty comfortable in these processes of organizing ourselves as a practice. So as of now, we're very happy at that.
Thank you. I just want to extend something what you mentioned over here, but of course, the fact also you mentioned that you've been doing more institutions and less of the houses, but your work often demonstrates this deep engagement with the specific materials or certain site conditions leading up to bringing in the idea of having a sustainable solution. So how does then, while we are dealing with family or individuals' requirements for a house. In your case, it will be more specific because you've been doing for the family members itself. And how do we kind of identify the difference between what they need versus what they want? And in amongst all of these things, how the idea of sustainability kind of weighs in, or how does it comes into the picture over there?
I think this word sustainability is a bit blown up now. I mean, I think the simple thing is if you can save resources, I don't see any client who doesn't want to save money. If you can actually prove to them that your money is well spent and it's not a waste, and as long as you're kind of frugal and able to create delight out of that. So if you, and I mean, that is a struggle, obviously, that all of us in our own ways struggle to kind of find that balance. But somehow most of our clients or most of our practice has been towards trying to see how you can economize on many things, whether it is use of energy, whether it is use of certain kinds of materials, whether, as I said, some form of using more crafts, whether it is simple masonries or carpentries or other kinds of hand skills. So in that sense, you cannot sustain it. I mean, it's very difficult to describe. It's a mindful way, as one would say, or a more holistic sense of looking at many things together. There is no a solution, but how the water is used in the building. I mean, is the rainwater tapped? Is the waste? Can you segregate the waste in a way that certain parts of it can go to the garden, certain part may not? So in many, many ways, as you tie up all these ends, there is a certain awareness now. And I don't know whether I think it's simply talking about resources. I would say in every aspect, what you use, what you consume, and what goes out. So when you talk to most people in that context, uh, they're actually listening. They're wanting to hear. They're wanting to participate. They're wanting to understand how they can take this forward. So, and I think, as I said, if you save them money, uh, yeah, half the battle is won. So that's how we actually involve them in that sense. Take them to the processes. So.
You want to add anything to the Madhu, I then want to ask you is this, that while questioning this generic idea of a house and reimagining it by kind of challenging the traditional notions of house, especially in Kerala that you've been exploring. So, and in that context, how do you see this different design tools, such as the way you kind of deploy geometry, the kind of representation techniques, and also, for that matter, the simply act of drawing that you've been asking, you've been mentioning about. It kind of all these kind of helps you to incorporate this idea of adaptability of the space, in the sense, as we mentioned that there is this evolving definitions of family, evolving definitions of kind of privacy. You mentioned about dismantling the hierarchy and everything, you know. So the fact that the spaces also evolves along the years, you start seeing the layers of life, inhabitants living in it and everything. So how do you then navigate in your methodologies to hold on to a conceptual idea of that space, which is inevitably subjected to change in that way, you know? Because, I mean, the first house also that you mentioned earlier, it was something in the, it changed, the requirement kind of changed over the time. So how do you then navigate through your methodologies that you've kind of developed to cater to all of these things?
So, so am I audible? Yeah. So, there are very few important points that we keep. Yeah, so we generally, search for ideas that are quite constant throughout the history of a dwelling. Uh, and then that's how we come across, yeah, but this I am speaking in terms of a larger viewpoint. Like, for example, the idea of a hearth, which is like a fireplace. But most of our cultures sometimes don't have this fireplace, especially maybe in Kerala. But still, that idea of hearth is fundamental. It is fundamental. So, or maybe the idea of a universal grid. It's also fundamental. It may not be clearly legible in traditional house construction, but still that idea is a constant. It can have certain possibilities. Or the idea of monoliths, if you could check on our monuments, there are monoliths in the landscape that has existed forever. So we take all of these little cues to set up a new projected future of our dwellings. Somewhere there that we find a ground, and even the question of adaptability, that is fundamental in our attempt 3 in our presentation, if you see, because there we are trying to address rooms as just rooms, same rooms, no function rooms, and it could enable, it is enabled by the inhabitant. What should be the program here? How should I use it? So it is in a way programmatic in its fundamental concept. So yeah, all of these are tools of representation which helps to imagine whatever I'm asking, whatever I'm saying. Yeah, that's that's the best possible answer I could say. Yeah.
So you want to add on to that anything, to this idea of representation techniques and how? Same question. You want to add on to how this deployment of geometry and representation techniques and all this drawing it differently leads up to this idea of adaptable spaces and everything.
So idea of representation, geometry, I think it's very intrinsic to our way of doing architecture. I think all of us. And there's a third layer of that. You make models also, which physical model and study the spaces. I think that's your question, or am I missing the?
No, no, it's in line with that only. It's the methodologies we deploy in the design process,
Yeah.
and their impacts on the outcomes in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the, I mean, your geometry, your drawings, your model making, and they all come together. And in my case, the third thing that happens is the site conditions, because designing in nature, in between nature, it has its own challenges, because suddenly you find that what you'd imagined that you would be doing is not able to be executed. For whatever reason, the roots may suddenly come in the foundation. So then your design should be flexible, your geometry should be flexible, and in our case, the structure, because our designs are extremely structure based for the kind of architecture that we are doing. So your structure should also be adaptable to take care of these kind of things. And I think that challenges are always there, and we try to navigate and negotiate between them.
Thank you. At this point, I'd like to open up the questions for the audience over there. If anyone wants to ask anything specific to any of the panelists over here, please. Do we have a mic for everyone? We have Uday and Aditya.
Hi, thank you for two very, very interesting presentations. Kept us thinking about a couple of things. I was wondering how one remains sensitized and when does one get desensitized to a context that one lives in, particularly in a very strong natural context. Its forces, the rain, the paddy fields in your case, and the mountains and valleys. And for you, it's the everyday. For us, sitting in the hot drive in a featureless landscape around us, that is very special. And so when I see the act of building in these contexts, I see aggression. And as practitioners, how do we harness that aggression, and what are the parameters that you go through in your context to be sensitive? That's the question I have. And what actually goes through your mind when you decide to engage with a waterfall or a tree and embrace that tree in whichever way you think is right? But I'm questioning certain fundamental moves as human beings, then as architects, and then the client comes in, and there are those aspirations. So somewhere in that game, we all imagine ourselves as practitioners. So these are the thoughts that your presentations are leaving me with, and I wanted to share that.
So, so one of the things that when you talk about sensitivity, you realize that architecture should be incidental. It is not trying to make a statement about itself. It's not even trying to draw attention towards itself. So what we are trying to do is that if you're going to be living in nature, it should be kind of a communion with nature. And architecture should not be a kind of a interface that stops you from doing certain things, because I'll give you an example that, say we put a skylight and then you have the whole drama of the light and the shadows. In our case, most of the time what happened, the tree does that. So now the tree is something that you're playing with the shadows throughout the day. And you do not need an architectural intervention or an idea to do that for you. So what you're trying to do is strip away a lot of architectural elements, because now nature is doing their job and it's doing in a much better way than we could ever do. So my architecture, if you realize it, is completely incidental. I'm not trying to make a statement through that, because the moment I try to make a statement, your ego gets into the way. And the whole idea of that in nature, you are, as somebody who has created something, your presence should not even be felt over there. Your architecture is a platform, and you allow people using it to experience nature in its rawness. So that's what it is, and nature never, you get more sensitive to nature as you spend more time in it. You never get desensitized to that. I go to Pauna, I drive down, and the sunsets always surprise me. It's so beautiful that sometimes you have tears in your eyes. That's nature, and it does it to you. You see the sunset 1,000 times, but it's still fresh, it's still different, it's still the different clouds, it's still the water is so still that you can, and sometimes the water is, because of the wind, it's kind of choppy. It's different. So I think the more time you spend with nature, the more you realize that your architecture should be as minimum as possible. So that's what it is.
Any more questions from the audience?
Hello, good evening, everybody. Am I audible? Yeah. Sir, my question is, I've heard the presentations a little bit. I was down there in my professional duties, so didn't hear everything in detail, but whatever little I could manage on live telecast, I heard it. I think there is one particular aspect which I would like to know from my from the architectural fraternity is how much of what we are building in India is talking about permanence, is talking about longevity. Because I work, a fair bit of my career has been spent working with European architects and working in the vision with which they are working. I want to understand how Indian architects are thinking about longevity, because we are talking sustainability, we are talking about, environmental impact of the activities and everything. But what is the vision behind permanence? Because I've experienced a lot of, quite a bit of how the developed part of the world has been building. I've seen residences, a lot of houses which 3 generations or 4 generations are able to use, and they are still continuing to use them after 200 years or 250 years of continuous usage. So I want to understand from the architectural fraternity how, as a country of 1.4 billion people with limited resources and limited, budgets, we can learn to build in a more permanent way, more sustainable way, which can last more, which can be useful for future generations.
Is the question directed to all of us or anyone specific?
I don't want to say anybody
I-
specific, but to the fraternity in general, anybody.
I think it's a valid question that you want to ask, but considering the time limit, I would prefer that right now the questions could be more relevant to the topic that we are discussing, which
Okay.
is the idea of house and how. Probably
But sir,
when we go down, we can have a more
Sir,
informal discussion
my
also to
question
do that.
is towards residences. It's not about high-rise buildings or commercial establishments, because a lot of European houses that I have visited have been in use continuously for more than 4 generations, where I don't see that happening much in India. That's again a relevant question in my perspective.
Anyone wants to? It's basic, the idea of permanence that now earlier and in the European examples that you have seen, they've
No, I think you have a very valid argument and a directed question towards the fraternity. I would say all of us as practitioners. When we build, how are we thinking about how it will last? How much maintenance do we need to do? How much do we really need to spend on it every 10 years or 5 years or 20 years? And will this building stand 30 years or 40 years or 100 years from now? Yes, as much as we are, I mean, I think quite a few practices are thinking about these things. But there's another reality that is, which is, I think, the thing that we all need to fight is there is an excess of resource and there is a certain component of the market which is the land value, where properties are now valued after 5 years or 10 years or 20 years in a certain different way, that people actually find it easy to remove and redo things given the value of the property or given the excess resource people seem to have. And I think this is where probably as practitioners we need to be able to show ways in which, let us say it's today the building is used for a certain purpose. After 30 years the building has to be repurposed. Do we erase, remove, or can we reoccupy it? And can design take that initiative to put and show ways in which that particular place or space can be reused? So yes, I think your question is valid and we should all take it well. And I guess there isn't really an answer, but I think it is a certain way of looking at things which I think we all appreciate this observation.
Thank you for your input, sir. But my, again, a little humble understanding of this is, just because we may have the resources or the money or probably the financial opulence to destroy, and rebuild again, but I think we will put enormous pressure on the environment in trying to, build again for the same land with same utility. We are continuously going to exploit, because every gram of resource that we pull from the environment or that we pull from the system is going to put pressure, because we are a country of 1.4 billion.
I don't think we're disagreeing with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, definitely.
Thank you, team.
Thank you. I think our time is drawing to a close, and I want to sincerely thank you again to Surya Kakani, Shabbir Unwala, and Madhu to share their invaluable insights, experiences, and passion of their work towards the architecture tonight. And your work has truly elevated our understandings of what a house can be and how it profoundly shapes our lives in the places that we live. Thank you, audience, for coming over here today. And we hope the discussion has been meaningful for you guys also. And please join once again to thank the panelists over here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello. I request all of you to please stay back. We have awards to be given. Yeah, all of you. Shabir, sir. Okay. So we had a student juries today morning. So we had student jury today morning that was conducted by architect Rajiv Khatpalia sir, Gauri Bharat and Ujjwal Parikh. We would like to tell you that the students have put their best foot forward, and we believe that everybody is supposed to be appreciated. We would like to call upon all the students as I take names to collect their. Yeah, okay. As I take name to collect the participation certificates. From the Indus Architecture College, we have Shaurya Patel. If the students are present here, please come on stage. Shaurya Patel. Dhruv Patel. I request you to speed up your yeah. We are young yet, so. Yeah, they're getting from that side. I request Kush to get the certificates. Shaurya Patel. Dhruv Patel. You can come this side. From LJ School of Architecture, we have Kashvi Patel. Firdaus Memon. Kashvi. I request all the students to please come well in advance over here if possible. From Institute of Architecture and Planning, Nirma University, we have Varun Kapde, Hemang Mehta, Hemang. Okay. Okay. We don't have Hemang, so we can keep his certificate. Next, we have from Sal School of Architecture, Hetvi Parekh, Soumya Revar. We don't have Hetvi, so I request you. Okay, Soumya is here, yeah. Lastly, from Anand National University, we have Vyap Yogesh Patel and Vandan Paresh Vagasia. Okay, sorry. We skip them. I hand over to Ujjwal sir. He want to give a brief about the morning session.
So in the morning we had a small jury sessions with all the students, and it was really interesting to see all the discussions and all the projects of their studios. So what we observed as a jury was that there were few students from semester 4 and there were few students from semester 8 and 9. So we thought it would be very unfair to kind of announce who is number one and who is the winner and who is the runner-up. So we requested the organizers as a jury that we would rather give what we felt was the best projects among semester 4 students and which was the best amongst the semester 8 and 9 students. So instead of giving out the award as winner and runner-up, we would just do it as semester 4 student and semester 8 and 9 student, right? Right. So probably she'll announce the winner.
From the, as rightly said by well, sir, from the firsters, we had a few students, and the winner for the 4th semester is Shaurya Patel from Indus Architecture College. I request you to come up on the stage. A small token of appreciation from IIA team. Next, from the 8th and 9th semester, we have As the winner, we have any guesses? This is just to have that. We have Firdaus Memon from LJ School of Architecture. Thank you, sir. You can please be seated. Thank you, sir. Next, we would like to felicitate all our speakers today. I invite Architect Vipul Patel, Architect Vatsal Joshi sir, Architect Chintan Shah, Architect Amrish Mandlik, and Architect Rutvik Agnihotri on the stage to honor our esteemed speakers and panelists. First of all, I request Vatsal sir to present a memento to Madhushita CA. Kush, Harsh, kindly assist them. I now request Vipul sir to present a memento to Architect Shabir Unwala. Next, I request Chintan Shah to present a memento to Architect Surya Kakani. Next, I request Amrish Bhai to present a memento to Ujjwal Parikh, a moderator for today. Next, I request Architect Agnihotri, who is also a student of Mickey sir, to present a memento to him. I request Mickey sir to come on the stage, sir. Next, we would like to felicitate all the term partners without whose support this event would not be possible. I request you to take back your seat. Sorry, sir. I would like to invite Bhavik sir, Krunal Shah, Amruta Thakkar on stage for the same. Bhavik sir, Amruta ma'am and Krunal Shah. Kindly come up on the stage. Our first term partner, Surfaces Plus. I request the representative to come on the stage. I request Bhavik sir to do the honors. Next, we have 11 engineers. If anybody from the team is here, okay. Next, Kohler. Anybody from the Kohler team is here, please. We request you to come on the stage. Kunal, sir. Next, I request Amruta ma'am to give the next award. Anybody from the Simpolo team would like to come on the stage, please? Our next term partner, Fujitech. I request Bhavik sir to do the honors. Our next term partner, Stonic. We would like the representative to come on the stage to collect the award from Kunal sir. I request representative from the GM brand to come up on the stage. Amrita ma'am, can you please do the honors? And our last term partner, the brick store. I request the representative to come on the stage. Bhavik sir, I request you to do the honors. Thank you. Kindly be seated. Next round of appreciation or token, as you have seen all the panels on the ground floor, they were all designed, curated by the team of Doro and Place Studio. Caleb and Naomi leading along with Niyati and their team. They have done a commendable work, and as we can see, I would like to give them an appreciation that they have put their work forward. Thank you. We would also like to appreciate all the 28 architecture firms that they have displayed the panel downstairs. I'll call one by one. I would request the principal architects or their representative to come up on the stage and collect a token of appreciation from here. For that, I would request architect Chintan Shah, architect Vipul Patel, architect Vatsal Joshi, and Rushang Bhai and Vimarsh sir on the stage for the same. I also request Devdutt sir to come up on the stage. I think he left. Devdutt sir? Yeah. Okay, he left.
Devdutt sir.
We start with the first award, Terra Firma Architects. Next, Rushi Shah Architects. Rushi Shah Architects. Next we have Arur. Arur. Nobody there from the team. Do we have anybody from the Arur team? I guess not. Okay. Studio Sharansh. Okay. Short Design Workshop. Short Design Workshop. Is there anybody from the team? No. Okay. Studio Sangat. Okay, we have I think we have Sham from the short Design Workshop. Next we have Raghuveer Khatpalia. Anybody from the team? No. Studio Sangat. Vaishnavi Shukral. Icon Architects and Urban Planners. Jaydat, sir. Okay. Second ground. Rushnewala Architects. Next we have Raiji.in. Next award is for Reasoning Instance Architecture Studio, Ujjwal sir. I request Bhairavi ma'am also to come. Next studio we have In Practice. In Practice. Okay. Next we have Misa Architects. Next, Architectonica Procreate. The word is very tricky. Architectonica Procreate. If anybody from the team? Okay. Next, Palak Shah Design Studio. Next, I would like to call upon Dreamscape Architects. Anybody from the team? Okay. Next, AVN Architecture and Urbanism. I request viewers. No?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Next, we have Play Studio. Caleb, along with Naomi, has curated the entire exhibition. Next, with Tranquil Design. Anybody from the Tranquil Design? Okay. Studio 4000. Okay. 96th D, Design Studio Himanshu. Sir. D6, sorry, D6th, I'm so sorry. D6D Design Studio. Sorry. Studio 603. Next, Verizon Architects. Okay. Anuj Desai. The team Anuj Desai. Okay. Lastly, we have Woodpecker Studio. Okay. Anuj, are you present there? Yeah. Okay. Anuj Desai. And lastly, we have Woodpecker Studio. I'll be representing.
So guys, give it up for Aishwarya. She's been fantastic for all 2 days. Thank you, Aishwarya, for all the hard work and the way you handle the situations. Thank you.
Okay, we have a little time, I think. Okay. Thank you all the dignitaries and students and the attendees who have come, taken their time and made this event and today's evening a little bit productive. And next, as we come to the closing of the second day, I invite architect Vatsal Joshi sir and Vipul sir on the stage for vote of thanks.
All right. So as we close this session and we close the innings too, me and Vipul together. It's been 13 years, 14 years, I don't remember, that we started off this journey at IIA Ahmedabad. First of all, to revive the center and then get it going. And without this team that is taking over, this would not have been possible. This journey has been incredible. Got to know some fantastic people, got to know some fantastic architects, human beings per se, and eventually leaving it to the young generation to take it forward, and may Ahmedabad architectural fraternity grow from strength to strength. Thank you everybody, one and all, who had been part of this journey. And now coming back to the collective, we are having a session, a walk with architect Mickey Desai tomorrow morning. So all those who have registered, they are requested to be there on time. And we also have a few people to thank again. First of all the term partners that have been our backbone, the strength, all the team members, the committee that has been working tirelessly for everything that has been put up together, the team, Doro, Caleb, everybody, Niyati, and I don't remember all the names, but thank you for putting up a show worthy of any national or international exhibition. And of course, all the volunteers that have also helped us to get this thing going, to get this whole event to anchor that. So thank you everybody, one and all, and I would want everybody to come on stage who have worked behind the scenes. We have some small felicitations. Chintan can take over for all the volunteers. All the volunteers, please come over. All my committee, please come over. Everybody, Bhavik, Vimarsh, Rushang, Kush, Harsh, everybody who is behind the scenes, please come over. And yes, Devdat, Ujwal, yeah, come over, everybody. Huh? Chirag Rodia, oh, how can I forget him? Chirag, Rutvik, Aishwarya, everybody come over. And all the volunteers, please. Yeah. So Vipul, can you do the honors, please? Please honor all the volunteers for their hard work, first of all. આવી જાઓ બધા ઉપર આવી જાઓ એક પછી એક આવી જાઓ ચાલો one by one. Yes. All right. So everybody here, we want a last photo op. All the speakers, please come over. Ujwal, Madhu, Shabir. Yeah, we want all the team Doro also to be here. Come over. All the volunteers, please come. ગઈકાલની જેમ આગળ આવી જાઓ આખા લાઈનમાં. આગળ આવી જાઓ આપણે ગઈકાલની જેમ આવી જાઓ. Thank you, everybody. See you at the next collective. Thank you. Yeah, of course. The exhibition is open tomorrow. Do come spread the word, please. Thank you.